Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our Great Xing run in patch 1.5, the new release. Last episode we had Become Death, aka the Rice Warlord, really cranking up these rice farms, which are quite overtuned at the moment in terms of balance, on the basis of, it's important to emphasize that the way that they're overtuned is that they are way too efficient per construction, but per worker basis, they're really not just like obscene in this way. They're not extraordinarily efficient per worker. Just the fact is they should just cost double the amount of construction they do. And so when we run out of pops, eventually, the building of rice will in particular fall off. We're going to continue to build rice. Specifically, we're going to look to push places to 51 and then take them off auto expand. And this is going to be the general heuristic that we kind of do. We also implemented a ton of, social sort of programs during last episode that are going to, greatly affected both our population growth, going from like 3 million per year to 9 million per year. And then we also really cranked up the standard of living. To that end, we're actually going to make a bit of an adjustment here that will do something very similar. Liquor consumption tax makes a ton of money. You see we're making money, and we are going to stop extracting money via liquor because, in particular, it targets the lower rung pops. If you look, they're paying 3.8 in consumption tax, and of the things that they are consumption taxing, we got some wee-woos outside, of the things that they are consumption taxing, the liquor's the very substantive one. And so when we take that out, and we unpause, and we let the game think, that will decrease their tax by a couple percent, and the lower strata having more money in particular is going to positively affect your standard of living average much better, because there are exponential needs that the upper strata pay, and the needs of the lower strata are relatively linear, and so returning money to them is a little bit better. And so we are taking that tax back. Now we're running a negative balance, as we want to be, because this means we're stimulating the economy, and instead the raked back authority, we are going to encourage manufacturing industry in Jiangxi, which is going to be quite strong, because you might not have noticed, but we have, several hundred factories here, and so they're all going to benefit from an additional 20% throughput, which is going to allow us to output a ton more. I do believe they still get the throughput on the urban center. Oh my days. So this is going to, in addition to this, give us more infrastructure as well, a whole bunch more services, and so this will hopefully crank up the economy in quite a big way. It represents to us 9% of our economy, 9.3%. If we let the game think a little bit, I'm curious as to, after the throughput comes in, if this changes in a substantive way. Okay, so it changed to 10%, so that's a huge jump, in terms of what's going on. It's going to be very, very big, and then we are just going to continue to crank up here. Unfortunately, in patch 1.5 right now, they haven't hotfixed it yet. There is some significant migration problems, because we would actually want to siphon off migrants here. Even though we have a ton of migration attraction, we're barely getting any migrants, but that's okay, because we have a pop growth of close to 500,000 a year. And so this is kind of, we will be refocusing on building tall in Jiangxi a little bit this episode, as well as maybe starting to lean into the military-industrial complex, maybe expanding the military a little bit more. We can still benefit a lot from construction, though, so we're not going to do that quite yet. Generally, you want to we're going to lean into this modifier that's giving us free money in terms of the armed forces. This is a free money modifier minus military goods cost, because the buy orders are still created at the normal price. You just don't, as the government, pay it, and so it's free extra money spun into the economy. But this is only going to be particularly useful once construction falls off, which is going to be when we run out of peasants, which we're not out of peasants yet. We're almost out of unemployed, though. We've been attacking that pretty aggressively. So let's be off on our way. So British East Africa is one of the colonial releasables, and the UK's released them. But this mechanic seems particularly bad in the particular case of the fact that these guys are basically not growing any colonies at all, because your colonial speed is based on your population, and since they have very little population, relative to the British Empire, these colonies haven't grown pretty much at all throughout the entire game, and so this is like, I think, an unintended balance effect as a result of, these colonial administration type mechanic. We aren't going to establish any of these, but basically makes it so they don't colonize at all. Britain was ahead of us. They should have gotten all of this stuff, and now we're just going to swoop in because we have way more pops, and we already have, you know, the tech, the very important tech for, you know, malaria prevention, allowing us to kind of crank in here and swoop in and take, like, pretty much all of this despite having a really, really late start. We did not get colonialism early at all, and we didn't have any sort of shenanigans, but still, here we are, and they basically can't colonize. So we just got electrical capacitors, and we tried to turn it on, and that just led to an enormous shortage here, you know, of needing roughly 50% more than, like, the absolute max we can put out, so we're of course going to turn this off, and this is going to lead to a really tedious mini game where we are going to need to come in and find all the places we want to turn on some sort of PM with electricity and just overbuild by a ton all the electricity there, and so we're going to get started with that. We know that we're doing it in a lot of these places already, and we're going to need it for turning on the clothing PM. Unfortunately, we won't be able to turn on we won't be able to turn on the clothing button with just, like, clicking the one button, you know, kind of coming in here and just being like, okay, we're going to turn it on everywhere, because there's going to be a ton of areas where we're not going to be able to do it, even though they have electricity, because it's going to cause an instant shortage. And so this is a bit of an unfortunate situation, but this is going to require an enormous amount of, like, tedium, and, like, I don't know how they fix the tedious likeness of, like, these PMs. Like, it's a good shout what they did, like, in terms of if I click this button, it's only going to turn on places that have electricity, but, like, it undoes some of their other convenience stuff, you know, where if we go reset production methods, for example, and we reset productions in Qing East Borneo, this will turn on all the electricity PMs, even though there's no electricity there, leading to, well, I guess that's one solution too. It just turns on the sawmills. So, like, this button that was really good, or was really useful before, is now, I guess, killed as a result of you know, kind of one of the features that they've implemented, but you know, or it just doesn't work with, like, one of the previous features. But this is, like, an incredibly tedious spot that makes me, like, not want to research electricity ever, not because it's bad, but because it's incredibly tedious. And also, you know, the electricity, like, it's an 800 construction building, if I'm not mistaken, and so, like, it takes forever to build, and a lot of times you will, like, not want the electrical generation in particular spots, but it's like, oh, well, too bad, or you can't supply a full building's worth of electricity. So, for example, electricity here doesn't really do anything. Well, it actually does nothing, because there's not even an urban center, but I was trying to find a place where we have, like, 4 logging camps. So, for example, the electricity here is probably not going to fully employ or come in anywhere near it, you know, despite us using PMs here and here. And so, like, you need to do it in, yeah, okay. We're belaboring it. It's tedious. Let's continue. So a little bit of an awkward situation. We're almost done passing commercialized agriculture, but we actually have 1.2 billion GDP, which is giving a pretty significant malus to the investment pool contribution. So reinvestment actually isn't going to be that good anymore. And so the reason why, everything's multiplied by 0.55, and so this is deleting money from the economies. So I think we actually don't even want commercialized agriculture, so we're going to cancel this. And we are instead going to go for homesteading, which is, like, incredibly awkward, but we're going to do it. We could do this, or we could just do the most... Let's do this. That way we get the scholar officials out of government. They'll also become insurrectionary, but that won't really force a rev. And then we'll have 31% chance on homesteading. Also, it's continuing to be pretty tedious with the electricity. We're just cranking this up all the way. We need so much electricity. We have so many buildings that are, like, level 51 with these textile mills, right? And there's just not a good way to, you know, source stuff. Well, here we would only be losing 5k, so maybe we don't even run a shortage, but, like, this is, like, in the most built-up place, and this is, like, tedious to the extent that, like, it makes me, like, almost not want to continue, like, doing electricity at all, even though it's, like, clearly going to be best just because of how tedious it is. because we need to kind of go in every state and then like one by one, especially these states that have like these level 51 textile mills, and like ask ourselves, well, how much electricity are we going to need to turn on this thing? And then we turn it on, and then etc. Mostly etc. Alright, we just went for clicking the button, and we'll solve it like this, and it's going to take forever, and we're going to run shortages for a long time, but I think that this is overall going to feel a little bit better. This way we can track down exactly what states we are going to be needing stuff. Employment's a little sticky in a lot of these places too, but we'll give it a little bit of a time for employment to maybe kick in and eliminate some of these. We did a lot of these things by hand already to kind of prep it, but I think we're going to be coming out the other end of this a little bit here. So the private queue, seeing that Shandong has a bunch of excess, infrastructure, has decided it wants to put down 48 power plants in Shandong, which is way more than is needed, which is, I mean, we don't have control over the private construction queue, and that's like way too many, so they're just going to finish and then be completely unprofitable. I think we had another place like out here, that had a bunch of, of these like auto queue built up, kind of not very useful power plants, just from the private queue, but this is like another reason not to use the PMs, I suppose. I mean, maybe we just shouldn't use the PMs from now on. That's like feels so strange and wrong though. But I mean, well, I guess we'll get to turn on the PMs here, but this is like so much construction that's just getting like hemorrhaged, because like we don't need anywhere near 53 power plants in Shandong. But and on top of this, like, we actually don't want to overbuild some of these, because we don't want we want to be able to hit the prosperity bonus on this, so we don't want too many, because it's going to kill our ability to do prosperity bonus. We see we're kind of losing it in the steel, so let's kind of come in here and also turn on rotary valve engine. This doesn't make money, but it decreases the denominator for the calculation for this, so this should raise productivity, generally speaking. Killed productivity, damn, okay. We'll need to try and figure something else out. First of all, we'll swap back, but then, following swapping back, here, what we're going to do, the rotary valve is way less efficient. We'll try and see if we can export steel to try and fix this. We're also exporting basic clothes really, really aggressively, now that we, collapsed the price of basic clothes by turning on, the PM, but hopefully it doesn't cause our private queue to just go absolutely ballistic in these areas that, we don't have enough electricity currently, because we just need, a little bit to solve it. We are going to be annexing Persia, which is pretty excited. They're going to have a lot of resources there. We get the Ottoman Empire siding against us. Not a whole lot we can do here. I don't think we can assign to that front. We can assign to that front? That's wild. Ooh, looks like Punjab's in here too. So maybe we're going to have a little bit of a time here. We're going to mobilize multiple armies, put multiple armies on fronts. We're planning on triple landing Persia, but we're going to need to think about a little bit regarding what we want to do. But they're just so resource dense, and resources are something that Qing doesn't have a lot of, and also in particular is this sort of situation where they have a lot of unused arable land, or empty arable land, and so generally when migration's working properly, which it's kind of not right now, this is going to be a great place to kind of get rid of unemployment by having mass exoduses to Persia in terms of going into their unused arable land, and so it's going to be good and kind of round things out on multiple fronts here. We're going to need to decide what we want to do here though, because there's a lot we could do. We would want to kind of, low-key, we kind of just want to subjugate everyone, huh? Maybe we just go high infamy now. We already have 67 infamy. What's another, 900? So we decided to go for just full annexing Punjab here, which of course does kick us over 100 infamy, and we have entered the military-industrial complex era. We're out here doing some hot girl shit. The thing is we weren't really going to decay back down to 25 anyways, or this wasn't really the plan, and so if you're going to be high, you might as well be all the way up, and so we're going to be going in on these guys. We're going to be landing Persia with 3 different armies, which seems to be this seems to be pretty effective, or effective enough, notably. These things are having a hard time. You know, we've been trying to upgrade. Oh, we have to upgrade to torpedo boats. Just, wait, why is torpedo boats a thing if we can't upgrade to it? Oh, they just can't be upgraded to torpedo boats. That's fair. I accept that. That definitely makes a lot of sense. But we will be doing landings. We have like one really big squad that we are planning on sending in here, the Shan-Gan, as it were. We've kind of started organized stuff. We don't have the names organized because I was a little afraid to name them, just in case, like, you know, this causes a bug. But you know, we're going to be getting in here on 3 fronts in Persia, and notably, we can push the Ottomans through there. Actually, let's, with the last army, land the Ottomans. Not expecting to see, well... Let's land them up here and then look to push the capital, something like this. We will have to recruit one of these guys for the other fleet, but I think that this is kind of an effective way of going about things, and we will do this. And one of these guys needs to get promoted, and then off we go. Notably, with our landing squads, or with our cav landing squads, we have all, you know, offensive, and we ideally, here, let's actually set them all to rapid advance, which rapid advance becomes available when you have over, I think, 30% cavalry, and also, having 4 generals will mean we can advance in 4 states at once. And so when you get one of these sneaky cheekies, kind of in the back, you know, in the back door, as it were, you just get to push through really fast and just occupy. And so if they leave any part, you know, kind of undefended, this lets you just kind of, they're going to move troops back, but it's going to be really too slow. And so I think that part of the army metagame is going to involve having, you can see color-coded over here, we have these red armies that are purely just for landing. The cavalry don't really have very good stats, but one thing that's notable while you are landing, because they don't have good stats because they have 15 defense, right? We have 30 offense, 15 defense, compared to shrapnel artillery, 45 offense, which is quite a bit more, and 25 defense, which is 2.5 times. But what we could do with these guys, with the Lancers, with the landing squad, we specifically know that 100% of our battles while we are landing are going to be offensive. And so the fact that we don't have a lot of defense is significantly decreased, or the fact that it matters that we don't have a lot of defense is significantly decreased. And if we do hit these spots where we just get in, boy, do we get in and just like fully occupy everything before they really have a chance to, you know, come on over. And we can even, you know, kind of move in some of these defensive squads to take the defensive assignments, you know, when they come up right here. And here, for example, which is what these blue armies are. These guys are dedicated defensive armies. They are only on not pushing. They don't want to push at all. Here we can recruit this guy and just click them on defense, and so they are more likely to pick up the slack when we have to defend, and then the other guys are going to be always pushing. And again, this is a kind of asymmetry type thing where we know 100% of our battles with this squad are going to be on defense, right? So the fact that we get to have, you know, 35 defense is pretty nice on the skirmish infantry. We're currently researching trench, so we'll get there eventually, but this is, you know, I think kind of way to go about it. And then, you know, the brunt force pushing armies that we have are 50-50 on infantry and artillery. Artillery, you know, the combined stats, if we're going to be both on offense and on defense, the combined stats, at least for this one, to be fair, shrapnel artillery is a little bit ahead of skirmish, so there's that, but this has got 70 total combined stats versus 60 here, and so these are, what's this? Demands cut down to size from us? I don't think so. So we will get ourselves a little bit of a big thing, which is going to be quite nice. We're going to need to reorganize, I think, armies on the back of this, and actually just recruit a ton more armies, but, you know, we have a ton of money, we have a ton of stuff available, so maybe it's time for the military-industrial complex. Maybe this is truly the stimulus that we needed. We'll also probably be enforcing relatively quick here on, you know, annexing Persia, conquering all this, notably cheekily taking Eastern Thrace. Eastern Thrace, I think, has 3 companies tied to it, and so this, in the long term, will unlock, you know, some more companies for us. Look at this. Look at this. We're going to have a ton of fronts. We're going to have multiple fronts with Russia, so we'll get recruiting and, look to put up some more military here. We are specifically recruiting in areas where we have a lot of unemployment, just to kind of put the last nail in the coffin of our unemployment figure, which we have been aggressively going after. There's only 500,000 unemployed out of like 150 million, so we're in really good shape on that front. I mean, this is a lot of guys, and it's going a real slow. Several people joined in. We decided to protectorate Egypt and Brazil, and also conquer Schleswig-Holstein, and now we have a whole nother thing to do in regards to our electricity. I think we're just going to swap that one on and try and solve it as we go, because obviously now the game is progressing at a crawl. Kind of off the back of this. Punjab is a notably very, very good state to take if you want a lot of population. Not that we really needed it, but here we are. This is the super swimming in. It's a very good state to take. We do not want to expand out this stuff, though, because subsistence farm problems. So despite the fact that we have a huge malice to state construction efficiency, we're still building here. We'll also look to incorporate it. Why not? Because we have a ton of excess bureaucracy. We've been pretty aggressively pushing, our government administrations, specifically focusing on places where we have unemployed pops, so like Punjab, well, we might as well, this type of thing. And you can see, Suzhou will just flick in a 5, Southern Anhui, this sort of thing, because we are getting taxed, we are getting rid of unemployment, and so overall this is hyper efficient, almost on homesteading, which is going to be super nice. I think we're probably going to go communist because everyone already hates us anyways, and this war is huge. Not this war, this war. Because it has France, UK, Egypt, Brazil, Schleswig-Holstein, for whatever reason, Finland, and of course, Russia. I mean, this is kind of complicated, and there's a lot going on, and there's stuff everywhere, and, those guys will pay for their crimes. But certainly the Russians are about to pay. They're kind of letting us through here, and so we're going to be pushing pretty quick. We do have one of these, cavalry units in here pushing, along with 3 of the, mixed skirmish artillery lab car outside, which is, I think, going to make for a pretty quick push. We have a naval landing on Schleswig-Holstein. We have more guys coming over to handle Egypt. We have several landings in on Brazil, looking to enforce on them. We don't have to worry specifically about enforcing on France and, the UK, because we don't have any war goals on them, they don't have any on us, and so it's less of a concern. Once we enforce Russia out, then the war will be over, if we are enforcing on all of these secondary guys as well. Well, that's actually pretty good right now, but I just wanted to take a closer look, at one of these fronts where we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Notably, every general allows for another battle, and so we are, kind of peeling through here. It looks like we're doing a reasonable enough job. We have guys set on, with these armies, we have 2 guys on pushing, 2 guys on defending, so that we can try and get the 10% offense, bonus on offense and the 10% defense bonus on defense, as consistently as we can. And then, these guys kind of pull up the slack in that we try and make sure we have enough generals to defend, and then we push a little slow, unless we kind of have a little bit of a pushing group, kind of going through. We notably are promoting up any armed forces general. We're kind of running into it a little bit over here, but everyone's assigned, everyone's somewhere, so I mean, we could reassign guys from one front to another, but every single guy is assigned except for the 2, the 60 stack and the 40 stack we have purely for defense against naval landings here. And so, I mean, we're getting in on some people and we're pushing in, but this is actually a somewhat tense war. After it's gotten started a little bit, notably, our landing was stymied by some French naval presence here, and we're not really getting a push in very much anymore here, and so it's possible we want to stick all of our guys on defense. Actually, wait, do we just not really have much of a presence there? We just don't have much of a presence there. That's a shame. Well, the South American guys, once we clean this up, we will be moving, I suppose, them over here. We want to keep this Egyptian force, and notably there's a lot of French and UK troops kind of preventing us from pushing in on Egypt as effectively as possible. So we've enforced on Brazil, but they're starting to push us back on kind of of all the fronts. We are going to get, one of our kind of landing defense units in there, and also this guy in there. Hopefully the troops that, are coming back from Brazil will be enough to turn the tide over here, because we're like a minus 61 on the front. Or maybe it's that people have unassigned on the front and we're just losing track of our units. There's a ton of units, there's a ton going on. Maybe we should have gone for, bigger units, like we have this 100 whatever stack, and so maybe this is maybe more the way to go than what we've done, but I think we can play like this. Maybe we want like 200 stacks, something like this. I'm not sure. Just really, really big units. We'll start expanding this unit a little bit. Oh my god, the supplies. Also, we have gotten onto trench, and we're starting to make that swap now, so that should make a significant difference. It doesn't take that long to swap, and so that should also help us come up. Okay, so before we finish this war, let's take a look at the cost of the war. Nearly $1 million for the Russians. For whatever reason, we didn't pay too much, but we did lose them 1.5 million. They lost 1.5 million. We can spare the blood much more than they can, getting 10 million more a year here. And also wanted to note the amount we're paying on goods for military buildings. This seems quite a bit higher than, what we would be paying on 1.4. Part of it is all the mobilization options, and also this is getting reduced in a free money modifier way, such that it's injecting around 40k into the economy for free. The reason being is all of these buy orders, they enter the market in terms of purchased at the normal rate. However, we are paying 15% less on them. This is why we have been recruiting up generals and then promoting them as much as possible. We're actually trying to get these guys powerful so that we can have the bonus doubled, but we are having a little bit of difficulties. So with that said, let's enforce and finish up this war, and then see how much exactly the goods for military buildings drop. It's 240-ish K right now, and then once we enforce, or once we finish, the goods for military buildings drop down to 100k. So that means while we are fully mobilized, this is stimulating the economy and kicking free money into the economy. The way that this is, kind of a better way, or a way to think about it here, is like the artillery foundry. It has a weekly balance. It's positive. It also has wages. It's being paid out, and obviously it's less profitable now than when we were, mobilized, but these guys are getting paid the full amount because the artillery purchases are happening as if they were happening at full rate. So, however much is being purchased here, in this case 1.4k in this specific instance, this is getting pushed into the economy, and then both the balance and the wages, these guys are going to spend stuff on consumer goods, and this will, spin more money into the economy because these will revolve through the economy. The problem with government spending is often it becomes less and less useful, and if we are adding stuff in terms of construction, it doesn't spin extra money into the economy, it just spins money into the economy. Critically, we are paying 85% on the dollar for the goods or for the purchasing of this stuff, and so the government's only paying 1.1k. When we buy stuff, like let's say Shandong, when we are paying, for this 168k, it's injecting 168k, it's not injecting, that 20% extra, which is why we were curious about this, sort of as a military-industrial complex potential, and the only question is can you get the military big enough for this to matter? And I'm not exactly sure. Our military is really big. The main kind of throttle right now is, our computer speed. And so... But it is an interesting thing. We also protectorated Egypt and Brazil off the back of this, and we have, you'll see, they have 250 infamy. Infamy is not even real anymore, and let's continue on, as it were. Power plant's building queue strikes again. This place can't even deploy up. It's got a negative balance, and yet, some reason, there's plus 26 coming in. Not sure exactly why this is. I mean, I guess we might as well build some of this stuff. But, if your private queue is going to go ballistic like this when you go electricity, the question is it worth it? I'm not sure what the answer to this is. We could take this off auto-expand because it's already over 51. We want the other places to get over 51 without having, really unprofitable situations. But, yep, we're just going to expand out the textile mills. We might even go for some of the boom booms. We're just going to look to do some stuff that requires some electricity because, this whole whatever you want to call this. Notably, actually, let's kind of come in here and think about the companies. Wow, that's unreal. How are we getting the bonus? That's crazy. Too crazy, man. I wasn't expecting that we'd actually be getting the state construction efficiency bonus. I was coming in, I was gonna like whinge a little bit and be like, oh, we can't get the bonus, except we're getting the bonus somehow. So we're getting, you know, as far as companies go, we're getting 10% state construction efficiency from the steel and also the power plants. I mean, I guess our power plants are getting a whole lot more throughput than the average person's power plant, and so this can be because throughput does not increase the number of laborers, and because productivity is calculated by dividing by the number of laborers and then multiplying by 52, the number of weeks in a year. Or it's this minus this over the number of laborers times 52, this type of thing. And so I guess this might be just kind of carrying the category. So 239% compared to the average building. So maybe this is why we're getting this bonus, but you know, we might want to rethink our strategy for some of these companies, especially if we are going to be acquiring some new ones, which is kind of what's going on. We got a pretty big war kind of brewing on up between us, Brazil, Russia, and well, so we're reducing autonomy of Brazil. Uruguay joined in, so we could just one annex them because they're an OPM. So we're going to do that. We're going to take Ohio, and we are going to also put something in on Russia, but we're going to worry about that next episode. This episode, we decided to get a little bit naughty and just had a massive war that was actually felt a little bit close. I mean, everything's going molassesly slow, and we also have been just struggling with electricity. Is kind of the name of the game. You know, we just like gave it all up because we were struggling with electricity so much. Look at this though. Like, okay, we also reduced taxes in this episode one notch. We might continue to do this just because. Not because it's necessarily good. I'm pretty sure we're just supposed to build more construction, but we will have to end the run sooner the more construction I build, and I'm trying to be actually a little bit disciplined here, and maybe we just don't go for, you know, what is like correct, which is just building more construction, and instead, you know, play a little bit towards SOL or something, because if we get to 20k construction, the game will become unplayable, so we might not want to do that kind of moving forward. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I apologize, I was like pretty annoyed like at the start of the episode with the electricity thing. I really think it's so tedious. I'm gonna leave some feedback on the forums. It's like it's not only is it tedious, we just get like a ton of like you know, the phenomenon. Where is it? Oh yeah, because it's not in this anymore. Like, we get a ton of like these types of phenomenon, such that like, oh man, it's just like, it's so frustrating to see. And it's like also we spent like probably during this episode maybe a half hour, 45 minutes like specifically like coming in, and we didn't even do that good a job you know, coming in and, you know, let's get on to it, like going through this stuff to try and like normalize the prices of like transportation by swapping up PMs like in specific spots, specific amounts, this type of thing, and it's just local goods are like incredibly tedious. I mean, to be fair, we're playing Qing and we have like dozens and dozens of states, so maybe this is more the problem and it's really not that big a deal, but anyways, yeah, aside, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, YouTube algorithm stuff, and also have a good day.